want to talk a little bit about prepping today. I know, big surprise, right? I don't talk about prepping a lot anymore, with good reason. Not a lot of people want to hear about it, right? I mean, the prepper wave that lasted for 2 to 3 years, it's over, right? Doomsday Preppers isn't on the air anymore. It's not a pop culture thing. It's not the cool thing anymore. So a lot of people just stopped talking about it. A lot of people just stopped prepping. But there's still people like myself who were prepping before it was cool and are still prepping now that it's no longer cool anymore. And every so often I look around, I see what's going on in society, I turn on the news, and it makes me want to ask you guys out there the question, do you still prep? Do you prep at all? Have you ever prepped? And if not, why? I mean, especially if you compare it to what was going on just a few years ago, has the world gotten better that now you feel you don't need to prep anymore? No. In fact, in many ways it's gotten worse. So why aren't you prepping? I mean, we as a species, human beings, we have an inherent drive in us to prepare for the worst. We have an instinct in us to prepare for the worst. In fact, all species do. Species that do not prepare for the worst go extinct. But yet it's a drive, it's an instinct that society has kind of tried to drive out of us over the course of the last 100 years or so. And it makes me want to say, hey, remember that drive, remember that need, remember it's important to society, to the human race, to prepare for the worst. I mean, you got a spare tire, right? You got insurance, you got a fire extinguisher. Do you have extra food storage? Do you have extra ammo? Do you have a gun? Are you prepared just on a base level for some of the bad things that can happen to society, to your region? Are you prepared for economic problems? Are you prepared for a natural disaster? Are you prepared if you just lose your job, or maybe somebody in your house loses your job and you have a personal economic crisis? I mean, look at what's going on in Venezuela right now. That country is on fire, literally. Blood in the streets, class warfare. The government has turned on its people. Why? Because the price of oil dropped. That's it. That one thing shattered Venezuela as a whole, as a nation, brought it to its knees. Do you think something like that couldn't happen here? Because if you do, you're blind. Now, chances are it cannot happen here as easily as it happened there. But what about a natural disaster? What about snowpocalypse? Do we not remember that? What about all the hurricanes, tornadoes that destroy people's lives and entire communities? Are you prepared? There's a reason to be prepared. It's inherent in all of us. Preparing for the worst is not crazy. It's not uncool. It's natural. It's human nature. And we should all be preparing for any and every possible disaster. It's how we stay on top as a species. And I urge you guys out there, if you are not preparing now, do what you need to do to get prepared, at least on a base level. Make sure you have a firearm. Make sure you have extra ammo. Make sure you have a way to get water if something happened to the grid, if something happened in a natural disaster and you couldn't just pour water out of the tap. Do you have access to food? Find ways to get these things taken care of just on a base level for you and the people that you care about. Do yourself a favor. Get back into prepping. It is a cool thing to do.